I mean, you have to
you have to
engaged,
suffer
too.
people's. You can't delegate tastes. So if a guy comes up to me and he wants me to play something that I think is a crap song, I can't blame the guy because he wants to hear something I don't care for. I don't have to play it though. So and I'll say, well, I don't know that one, but maybe here's something you like in a genre that I think might be similar. And I tend to I wear two hats. One is I'm a songwriter and I take my songwriting really seriously, but I also am a performer and an entertainer, and it's show business. So, I don't care if I was a great poet. Nobody's going to pay me to read them poetry for 4 hours. Even if
Right.
it could be Yeats, and they're still going to be like, yeah, but we're not selling any beer when you do that. So
Right.
I understand that tightrope walk, and we kind of nudge an original or two in when we think we can. And like I said, sometimes if I'm playing and I know the crowd, then we'll play every Starbelly song we can. And then other times
Can't get away with
we
it.
like playing together. We enjoy, especially with Brian. Brian is like my alter ego. He knows 50,000 songs like you do, Lee, like I do, like all guys do, and it's like, hey, have you ever played, like we played the other night in Annapolis, and we were playing, and there was a table of like 12-year-old, 10-year-old girls from lacrosse and their parents, and Brian said, hey, let's play that song Happy, by Pharrell, and I went, I don't know it.
I
said, I know
love
it.
him. He's cool.
Yeah. So we just played it, we just played it, and I'm like, well, I've heard it, so let's go. And we did it,
Right.
and those
That's
people
hilarious.
were so ecstatic. So that's when you make that decision. Yeah, you got to make them happy sometimes. Another time,
I was going to say, you're out to please, your audience, too, obviously.
yeah, and you have to be true to yourself. So the only way I can really, there are certain artists that I don't care for, so I don't play them. I'm not a big Jimmy Buffett guy. I got nothing personal against the guy, but I'm not, it's just not my cup of tea. So if somebody comes up and asks for Buffett, I just go, I don't know any. And I do know some, but I'm just like, nah, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, don't.
So,
right.
It's the same as somebody saying Freebird. Well, I could play it, and guess what? It's a damn fine song. It's probably one of the most incredibly written songs of the last 60 years, but I'm not going to play it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I'm not that guy.
But even still,
I'll play you The Breeze that J.J. Cale wrote instead.
Right. Right.
Because that to me is a great tune. But
right.
But anyway,
Well,
it's a fine line. So.
But I also know from playing, and I've done a few gigs with you, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. And I gotta say, you're one of the few that is not afraid to get up there and wing it. If you've heard it, you're that comfortable with your musical ability that you can at least get a reasonable rendition of what the song is, if not a outright.
Thank you,
direct.
and I appreciate that. And I think that's high praise coming from you, Lee. I do appreciate that.
That's a sign of a real player, man. That you're not afraid to make that leap.
Well, and I've also learned that.
Yeah,
if somebody asks you to do something and you can sort of do it, man, they love the fact that you're willing to at least try, even if you get it wrong, because then they're in on the joke. If somebody asks me to play, any particular song, I'm like, well, I kind of know it, so let's see how it goes. They're like, okay. And then if you pull it off, you look like a genius. And if you don't pull it off, you're like, hey, man, I tried.
Well,
they appreciate the effort. So it's a win-win.
What if someone offered you $50 to play a Jimmy Buffett song? James O'Connell is saying he'll pay you $50 if you play any Jimmy Buffett song.
Right. Well, Jimmy Buffett's a $100 request, first of all. So.
There you go.
No, we're all prostitutes.
It's just
we're just negotiating price at this point. I mean, I do play for money. So I mean, I'm not gonna get on my high horse, and I don't want to fib and say I've never played Jimmy Buffett for money before, because I have.
Well, that's the next topic I wanted to tackle with you, is the fact that you do recognize that you are one of the handful of guys that can consistently work, and this is how you make your living,
right.
as a performing musician. But you also have this other project that is another band. I mean, you're like many people who we lovingly termed the survivors in this industry, they've learned to diversify what they do.
To accommodate.
So and it's not that doing the industrial work of it is any less enjoyable, because I mean, for God's sake, you're still doing music,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But
For
you
sure.
also get to do what you love to do.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
and I'm very fortunate. I mean, I have a very lovely supporting wife who, it's difficult to do this if you don't have a supportive spouse, and you know that, Lee, and a lot of guys know that. And I have a very supportive wife. And
What a
it
what
makes
a segue.
yeah, but you know what I mean, and so that makes it easy. So, if I had to do this, if I was, trying to raise a family on my own without a supportive wife, I'd be
lot more
working all day
difficult,
long.
that's
And,
for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
and so it's difficult. But I learned something. And what I try to do when I play, especially if I'm playing solo or with just Greg, I really try to get to know the people that are come to see us play. And I learned that from Rob Fahey. I know you've heard of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Iron Man.
I think that guy is a pearl beyond price. I just think he's one of the kindest souls I've ever met, and I really learned from him. He was so nice to me, and before he even knew my name, and he just literally, and I'm talking when I was 17, and the Ravens were the biggest band in the state and on the East Coast, and he actually took the time to talk to me. I couldn't believe it. It really left an effect on me. So when I used to go see him play solo, I watched how he interacted with people, and he was just very gracious. So,
well, he cares. He cares.
He really does care. He's a nice man, and